Okay, I kind of did a video on increasing prices. Um, Now I'm going to do a video kind of giving you some advice on auctions or how to pick up guns, some buying tips. A lot of people ask me, well, where do you buy your guns, surplus guns? And if you're the type of person that just wants to go online on your phone or on your computer and find a online retailer that sells stuff and you just click on it, order it, okay, and get it, you're going to find a lot of the things you're looking for, or to get it at a halfway reasonable price. That ain't going to work. You're going to have to go out on your own and kind of look around and try to find something that is either more reasonably priced or just is not available in that mode. And there are several different ways of doing it. There are some companies that have an online catalog that'll have firearms in their inventory listed with a price. And generally, like Collector's Firearms or something, generally them prices are extremely high, okay? But you're more or less looking for something unusual, kind of valuable, and the grade and everything is there. Sometimes they do have surplus guns, but then again, their prices are way higher than any normal source. The only other option you have is online auctions, and there's several different ways of doing it. I will get into maybe a video on auctions explaining the different types, but the one we're all familiar with is the Gun Broker, and that is an auction site more than an auction. Okay, and basically that runs 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and people just list things either in an auction environment or buy it now or make an offer. So that's one venue. Then you have your large auction houses like Rock Island Arsenal. There's Little John's in California, which is another one. There's several auction companies that some of them are quite large. I think Rock Island's the largest one. But there are several reputable companies that will auction firearms and accessories and ammo. And they'll have auctions every couple months or something, the larger ones. And generally they also have a halfway decent reputation and bring in some quality material. Then if you go to Auction Zip, Proxy Bid, or all these different hosting sites, there's numerous small auctions, which would be some sort of large gun company somewhere that every now and again, like every 2-3 months, they will auction off different firearms and accessories. And that's where I got into this one. It was a company in Colorado that I just found on Proxy Bid, and I searched through their auction, and you can put a sealed bid in, okay, or you can participate in the auction live, be pre-approved, and bid as the auction goes on. So how something like that works. They're all in there in a company. They have Proxy Bid, Mr. Bid, something else, 3 or 4 different places, these servers that you bid through, okay? And it's all come down on a computer. Maybe they have sealed bids. I didn't see any people on the floor. In other words, they didn't have a bunch of people right there bidding also. But the thing about this auction is while this is all being compiled and you place your bid while it's live and you can hit a button and bid on it, I'll explain to you how I did it with this gun. This gun came up, okay, and what I did is I put like a $450 bid on this weapon. And I bid it on their site before the auction started. I had the high bid, about $475. So when it did come up live, you'll see they input not just from that site, but all the other sites. and you see, all of a sudden it goes up to about 575 or so, okay? And then they run it, then it's 600. Then, strange way, he kind of hung and had to go up, and I had to put a 650 bid on it to win. And it was kind of like he's goading me on, and, and I don't think there was that much interest in it, but I wanted a gun, and I got it. So there was a 2-day auction. There was another one just like it, but not in as nice condition. And again, same thing. I went in there. This time I put a pre-bid of $400 on it. And so just to see what happens. And sure enough, I waited. It comes up to the point. And all of a sudden it shoots up again about 5, and then, oh yeah, there's 6. And it goes 600. Same spot where I was. And then it's like, 600. Do we get anybody? Do we get it? And, he was calling out like my number, because he's seen I put a couple of bids up till we hit that $600 plateau, like he did with the second gun. And he's like calling for bids and waiting, and then nothing. And he's just, sold floor or whatever, $600. So in this situation, is it that they need a minimum of 600 and you have to make a $50 bid over it before they would sell the gun? And a lot of times if you check, 6 months to a year from now, that same company may have the same gun. If you went and download the picture, if you could get the serial numbers, you might find it's the same one. How I know this is one auction company I was bidding on a gun was an old Springfield trapdoor. It had somebody's initials carved into the stock. And I run it up so far and I was outbid. Well, about 9 months later, they had a couple auctions, like the second or third auction afterwards. I come up, and that same gun with the initials carved in it is in the auction. Meaning they're not going to let the gun go for $200. They want a minimum amount, and you're sitting there at a computer screen. You're not sitting in the audience seeing somebody raise their hand, or they can be sitting there saying, I got a telephone bid, or I got a sealed bid, from one of the people. So you kind of got to be careful. And what it comes down to is you have to know your limits. In other words, what price do you want to spend on this item? It is a used item. It's not a brand new item. Okay? And like I said in the other video, these things here, it's the percussion sharps, but it is the sporting or hunting model. They got different names for it, but it's a percussion gun. I really wasn't going to go for the military one because it would have probably went for more money, been more desirable. A lot of the reenactors need one. And this one actually was a nice shape. I'll do a video on this and discuss this gun. But basically, I ended up between my bid, the percentage, and the shipping and handling. And fortunately, I was not charged sales tax. But then, after all in all, $650 turned into $790 by the time I was done. So that's something you got to take into consideration. If I got this gun at $650 plus, say, to $40, they charged me $45 or almost $50 in shipping. On top of that, but that's what it ended up being with the percentage in that. You got to remember, I think it was 15%. This one wasn't too bad. Some of them have 18%, and some places have 20% or more, depending on, the terms. And that's another thing. Read the terms that each of these individual places have and understand them, okay? Because some of them will have a certain percentage for cash or check, then that goes up from 15 to 17 or 18 if you're going to use a credit card. And then most places, like the gun broker, will charge you sales tax, which is another addition. In my state, it's like 7%. So 7% of $650 is another, that would have taken it way over the 800. Now, compared to what I've seen, I was looking at 2 or 3 of these on the gun broker recently in the past few months. Okay? And another strange thing, they start off at $1 or a penny or something, and they get up to around 5, 6. It's probably a good price for this model used. Okay? And then you'd see all of a sudden in the end of the auction, the last few minutes, it goes from $600, $700 up to $800, almost $900. And it's not a good quality maker either. And I seen another one of these that was used, had some, wasn't too terrible, but up around the barrel, you could see where it was pitted. And someone reblued it on the end of the muzzle and up on one side of the barrel going down about here. There were some deep pits where somebody covered up with cold blue. And they had to buy it now for $800 or something. And that was too much, considering you're going to have to pay shipping, which is $40, and you're going to have to pay the sales tax, which that would have bumped that price up on that gun almost to $1,000. You know, somewhere there between $900 and $1,000. You're adding another $100 on there. Okay, depending. So you got to be careful, even if you think you're getting a good deal, okay, or a bid. When you're fooling around with these auctions, make sure you realize that, okay? That was like $150 more over what I paid, is what you figure. So, and that was without sales tax. Then it would have been close to $200 more, you know. So auctions are tricky, and I'll make a video and explain them in more detail on what to do, but basically know what the gun's value is. You know, set your limit. I was comfortable with that, okay, and actually I was pretty happy with it because the condition that this is in excellent condition. It was better than what I thought it was. So I wasn't happy. Now, if I got it and there was a major problem with it, or something was damaged or broken, I wouldn't really be that happy. But that's just the risk you take with purchasing the gun that way, okay? And so, that's kind of my advice on auctions, you know. And also in that auction, the mill surplus stuff, like the Swedish Mausers, KR9, they went for, and even the Japanese Type 99s and 38s, they went fairly high, okay? Mosins, your plain vanilla Mosins, round receivers from World War II, they're going about $350. But then, like I figured, you know, totally 15%, probably shipping, gonna be probably the same, another $50. So, you know, now you got a $450 Mosin instead of a $350 Mosin. But didn't have to leave my home, sat there drinking coffee and spent 2 days at the auction. It's time consuming. You know, you basically, it's like if you went there without the driving or traveling to Colorado, but you can't participate in the auction, and it's become quite popular. And the more people involved and the more people interested, the price is gonna be more competitive. Okay, and the worst thing is, like they said, auction fever, where people just get in a bidding frenzy and get carried away. And sometimes, you know, that's the tricky part. You gotta make sure you're not getting wrapped up into it and get psyched out like you lost 4 or 5 things and it's getting towards the end of the auction and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm buying something. And you just run it up to where you're not going to be happy with the end results. So that's one of my little advices when it comes to dealing with auctions. And I can go into it in more detail if you guys are interested and explain it further, because there's a lot of variables with the different types of auction that you're in. Okay.